This, if this was March 30, which it might be, and we had freeze thaw, and it's 9:30 or 10 in the morning, and this is frozen, wouldn't come here.
Yeah.
I'll say guaranteed, which is a big risk. If this was today, with 1 day's worth of fresh powder that's super soft, totally fair game. So that's why we're here. On that March 30 day that's freeze thaw, we're going to look for lower angle, less bumpiness, all that kind of stuff, because we don't want to hurt anybody. That's dumb. But this is soft, squishy snow. So this would be a tech day thing, skiing day. One of the deals is off-piste conditions. Probably the biggest focus would be relatively consistent rhythm. So if you're, turn, traverse, turn, traverse, for one thing, it's easy to see. Yeah. The other thing would be parallel, because sometimes we get these a little bit steeper, a little bit rougher conditions, and we go, oh, I want to start my turn. And I teach that. I mean, I teach a wedge entry into powder lots of different times, but that's not what the description says. Speed doesn't matter. This would be one, let's see, with the examiners. On a day like today, I would probably demonstrate a little bit like, okay, I think these folks should be able to ski this speed. On a rougher day, I'm gonna gear down and go, okay, let's make sure no one hurts themselves. There's times where you get stereotypically younger kids that they ride park or they're whatever, they're ex-racers, and so they're like, man, I'm gonna show them how good I ski, and then they blow up halfway down the bump run, and we don't want that to happen. So that ski and control is more important than ski with flair. So here might be my demonstration. For example, you can't see what he or she did, but that's kind of a borderline. You wouldn't necessarily want to demonstrate to your class that degree of over and back.
Traverse.
But here's a potential example.
Just like Ernie, he can ski the same turns no matter what the terrain is.
Hope we remember the order everybody's coming down in there.
Dermot, Stan, Dave, Tom, Marcia, oh no, Mike, Marcia, Tom.
Okay, remember this. You remember 4F. You remember pull.
Pull?
Yeah, just remember that word. Stan's word is shoulder. Remember that, Jake? Mike's word is shoulder. Remember this word, shoulder. Dave doesn't have a word yet. Okay. Let's go down here by these guys. We'll huddle around. I've never skied anything like that. Never skied anything like that before? Okay, so I gave many of you a word, or Jake's remembering your word. I didn't give the last couple. Marsha, your word. And what I did for that, that's just a thing in my head to help me remember, because I can't remember. So then I'll come back to you and ask you your word. Your word would have been shoulder. Your second word would have been skis. And so when you had a little bit of trouble with some of your turns, it's because you started with a shoulder move at the beginning. So that then you put you a little bit inside and out of balance. which probably affected your second word, skis, where you got that little bit of a wedgie thing. Because that inside and out of balance just trickles down to making a wedge.
So I started to turn with my shoulder?
Yeah, there's a little bit of that. And then you can see, just even doing that, it kind of puts you on your right foot. Yeah. Tom, your word, you were right behind Mark right there, right? Shoulder is kind of your word too, but it's a little bit less so. You had a little bit of kind of this move with your shoulder, pulled you back a little bit. So just keeping some crunch in here, fore aft. Shoulder. So your word was shoulder, okay. And so yours, I think, was more at the finish, where you would come around here, and then that would kind of kill some of your energy. You might get you a little to the inside at the finish of the turn. And so making sure that you separate the ending. You didn't have a word, did you? Okay, I'm gonna ignore you. What was Stan's word? Do you remember?
Shoulder.
Oh, okay. So, and Stan, your skis were working pretty consistently. You were staying parallel. A movement pattern, though, that I've seen a little bit is that your whole body is working together. If you had more separation where your legs came more than your shoulders did, that would be a good thing. That would allow a little bit more balance throughout the turn and versatility. Did you have a word?
I thought it was fore or forward.
Yes, it was fore aft. Okay, so when you got in trouble, which is not every turn, it's because you got a little bit here, the fore aft balance. And so I think I mentioned to Tom a little bit that a little bit of a crunch move there to keep you with your skis rather than just opening up and the ski maybe gets ahead.
I felt that, so that was, yeah.
And that would, because you had a bunch of good turns, and oh, there's one that's not. Oh, some good, oh, there's one that's not.
Yeah.
And it was those times that came into play. Did you have a word?
I did, but I thought you said full, but maybe you said
I
four.
think I said pole.
Pole?
I heard full or pull.
Okay, it was pole. This is a little bit of a, I don't know, strange thing. Your pole swing, whoops, you're opening way up like this and you're planting out by the tip of your ski.
Okay.
Grip your pole a little bit more with your fingers.
Yeah.
And don't let it come so much out along this way, because that's going to start to affect some of your upper body rotation too. If your pole's planting up here, you're probably lining up a little more than you need to.
Okay.
And whereas if you grip it and you plant in this zone, I can be more here, ready for that next turn.
So I think I was reaching to try and move my body down.
It's more than you need to.
But it was more than I needed to. I have a bad habit of being too far back, so I'm trying to correct that.
Ah, right. I can see that. But yeah, it's
too much.
Yeah, too much, because it can take you too much this way and not enough of that separated kind of way.
Okay.
Did I get most of us? Oh, Dave didn't have a word and Jake didn't have a word.
I didn't need one.
But that little hack I could say is just for me to go, oh, Dermot, what was your word?
No, you said dumpster fire. That's it.
Is this, is there any run there, or is this just down to the chairlift?
Oh, yeah, there's
cruises.
There's
Nice,
more run?
moderate loop.
Let's go
There's
where I can
groomed
see
or
it.
ungroomed, depending on what you want.
Let's go groomed. Once we stay where the music is. Now, you folks have had great questions, which I like, because that means when you ask a question, that keeps me on a topic that you're interested in. To me, we're not moving real fast. Who's frozen? What do we need to, are you happy with this? Like I'm getting information, or you need...
The pace? I think we're good.
We're doing fine?
Yeah.
Okay with this pace. So we could, in this section here, just get my least favorite thing out of the way. Any guesses what my least favorite thing is in the exam?
Hop turn.
Oh no, I like hop turns.
You do.
What'd you say?
Falling.
Oh yeah, falling. Yeah. The pivot slips are still in level 2, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah, that's my least favorite thing. Does anybody love them?
And pivot turns.
I like them.
Good, okay.
But not in powder.
No, not in powder. Let's try this. I'll do it this way. We'll go out sort of in the middle of the run, obviously look uphill, and just do what I do. I'll say it that way. You have some understanding of basically what a pivot slip is. This would be one of those, I've heard a few comments, well, even though you think it's something else, do what the examiner does. And I'm not trying to trick you, and I'm not trying to, oh, I hope they see this thing. It's not that at all. But so the do what I do is more of a pattern You know, how wide is it? How fast down the hill? Those kind of things. Not did he pick his nose on every second pull swing or something like that. Okay.
Are we supposed to?
Also, it's not completely on fall line, you know?
Yeah.
You know, some days I'm really on my game on pivot trips, and other days it doesn't work. It's just funny how some days it seems to work good.
Yeah, the top part up there was driving perspective, but the soft snow was a little bit hard. But then we rolled over, and that was reasonable. I'm a pretty competitive person, and so a lot of stuff in my world is competition. And in this case, I want to say Nestor, that's not right. Dermot. Dermot won that one. So,
I thought so.
gold
That's
medal
why I
there.
like them, because I can do them.
Yeah. So as people came down here, and I said, well, what did I say?
Watch them. Follow you. Watch you.
Yeah. Well, when you're down here, though.
Do what I
Skis first, then the bottom.
Okay, good. So what did you see, anybody, what did you see in people's skis as they came down the hill?
So
Go ahead.
I saw some people were not getting their skis flat when they wanted to rotate, so it was more of a turn than a pivot.
Okay.
Turning skis before, I think the idea is keeping your upper body facing down where they would turn, then turn their body.
Okay.
It's a little delayed.
Okay. So the timing of the ski to the body is a little different. Okay. Other things? Keep going. I don't know how many there are, but just what else did we see the skis do?
Well, I would say that in some of the pivots, it was the same like Dermot. There was some forward movement.
Okay. So the skis would change directions, but then always also travel forward.
Right.
Okay. Yep. Good. What else do we see the skis do?
So why didn't I beat Dermot?
Oh, geez.
It's like, where do I start?
Now, that's a legitimate question, since everything's a competition.
To some of us.
Everybody except Dermot had some level of a wedgie stem somewhere in there. Maybe not every turn, but everybody else had some kind of a non-parallel phase.
Ah, okay.
So that's answer number one. Answer number two, for you, Harry, the reason is your downhill leg would get straighter, which of course affects the pressure on your ski to the back. And so then you had to do a little step off versus a release.
Okay.
Marcia, for you, it was the body following around. And so then you're lined up here, and you had to do a little step off instead of release. Similar for Stan, but not as much. Stan might have been second place in there, where you're a little low here. I'm exaggerating right now, but that puts some pressure back. And at times you overpowered it with some of the upper body thing, and then the wedging. I can't remember the details in the rest of the crew here.
So when you mentioned first look at the skis and then the body, the ones who were traveling more forward.
Yeah, and some of that, if you just think about, if you're teaching short radius turns and medium radius turns, one of the differences, in a short radius turn you have more separation, and then as you release, you go down and your skis line up with you quicker. They realign quicker, makes it shorter. If you want a bigger turn, you have less of that because you want a bigger turn. So here, we want an exceptionally short turn. So if we're lining up as if we're in a medium radius turn, it's going to be difficult to get that pivot. Yes, sir. Question?
Where's our balance supposed to be along the length of the ski in the first place?
Okay, good question. He said, where's the balance supposed to be along the length
Can
of
I
the ski?
answer?
Oh, sure.
Over your feet.
Yeah.
'Cause
I
that's how
would
we're
go pretty
pivoting.
centered on this one,
Base of support. Let's say it the right way.
which is different for a snowboarder.
Yeah.
So if people were on their front of their boots, that would shape it into a small turn.
Sure could, yeah. That's and this is a little different than turning, right? Because you say, oh, turn, I want to get on the tip of my ski and bite it in. But that, sure enough, is for a turn. We just want to pivot, you know. So we don't want that ski to bite in and carve out there. We want the weight centered so that I can do this. A little hard and soft snow. But then I can pivot right like that because I'm here. If I load up, then I'm going to pivot that way. My foot moves and I start to make more of an arc. Or obviously this way.
Up and down motion, what would you
Okay,
say?
great question. Up and down can be super helpful. If it's in the right direction. My second D in dirt. Because if I go up and down this way, it can be maybe helpful. But if I direct that a little more that way, then my skis, you know, I didn't fake that. That's what happens when my body goes. And then my skis are flat and very easy to pivot. Yeah.
So, do you look for that particularly in the exam?
The
Because,
movement,
well, the reason I asked is because Ernie has been trying to teach us that you don't need to extend to flatten your skis as long as you move your body.
you don't have to.
Okay.
He's right. It can be a tool, just like you don't have to lift your inside ski to carve a turn,
Yeah.
but at times that can be really helpful.
Okay.
You know, because it's harder snow, so you want more weight out there. So, yeah, you don't have to me, when I'm looking at pivot steps, I'm watching the skis
Okay.
almost entirely. Because I have a whole other set of baggage that I'm not going to dump on you about what the body could be doing and get the same effect on the skis. So if the feet are going straight down the hill and the skis are parallel and going back and forth, I'm happy. So let's try another batch here. And I'm not totally sure where the fall line is, but feel free to stay in the fall line.
If you come out more to the middle,
Then it's
angles
more
down
accurate.
closer.
Okay. And then in the middle even